Goodness, I tell you what, this has been some sort of an evening. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley with you. Everything was so calm up until about 8 to 9 o'clock tonight. Then we saw a couple of small storms pop up, move toward the area like we see on many summer nights. Truly nothing out of the ordinary. Then everything started to change, and what we found is that these storms just slowed down to a halt right over Guilford County, specifically right over much of the city of Greensboro on the north side and the west side. And what happened then? Well, when we don't have any room to put the water, problems arise, and we saw flash flooding happening that really has caused so many problems across the area. And that's really why we continue, even at this late night hour, this is around 1 a.m. That's why we continue to watch the flooding situation just kind of develop and evolve right now. This is continuing to be a flash flood emergency until 3:45 in the morning. Well, what does that mean? It means we've had a ton of flooding already happen, okay? And that it's still happening right now. You're still seeing a lot of those flooded roadways, and that's why the warning continues. Here's the good news though. If we zoom in to the radar, this is over the last 3 hours. Notice that storm, it popped up and it sat and it sat. You can see right here, it didn't move, didn't move, didn't move. That was a couple hours. Now it moved. So that's the first part to getting rid of the flooding, is you got to get the rain to shut off. That's what's happening now. We've got the rain to shut off and go away, and now it's migrated over to other parts of the county. You see southeast, but it's not quite as heavy. They should be all right. However, we still have all that water on the ground. So where does it go? Well, once it gets on the roads, it floods the roads, and then once it gets off the roads, it goes into the drains and it floods the creeks. This is one of our live cameras from Merritt Drive by I-40. This is Buffalo Creek. You might know it. It's the same one that floods Latham Park. It's the same one that floods Revolution Mill. This is the one camera that we can show you live. It's just a static shot there. But that's Merritt Drive. It crosses I-40. It's just out of frame there, but it kind of shows you how much water there is. And that loop was only a 6-hour loop. So it's really only in a couple hours that we've seen that. Many reports of flooding. This is only a small sampling of what we got. Hearing from the police and the scanners and the first responders as well, there are a lot more than these. But this is just a sampling. Some of them up in the New Garden Road area, some flood waters up that way. We had some vehicles that were trapped, needed to be rescued, of course. This was around 10:40. That's when we first started to get word of a lot of this happening. Other reports over there on the Oak Ridge Road area, Fleming Road too, and as you go down toward Guilford College, Wendover Avenue, those spots were having some issues. But even on the east side of town, Huffine Mill Road and Wendover shut off and closed down. But again, the main message right now I have for you at 1 a.m. Things should start to improve, but it's going to take some time. It's late on a Friday night. Hopefully you're home anyway and you can just relax and not worry about these things. But we do still have a flash flood emergency until 4 o'clock. And when they say the word emergency, they don't just really throw that around. It's really reserved for those times when you know that bad stuff is already happening. Sometimes a flash flood warning is issued and nothing really materializes all that much. This is not one of those times. We already know it got pretty bad for a little while. Rainfall estimates, it shows you where the rain came down across Guilford in this situation, and we're really focusing on Guilford because this is the one with all the problems. There is some rain elsewhere. Notice really localized right here. If you live on that part of Greensboro, you're fine. Over here, you're fine. This has been the spot. So if we zoom in there, we can put some numbers on this for you. And really, this is wild. I'm going to move the map a little bit so you can see. 4, 5, 3, 3, 2. That all happened in a couple hours. So basically from 9 p.m. until now. That's a lot of rain. And to put it in perspective, we just had Tropical Storm Debbie yesterday. This is not Tropical Storm Debbie. This is extra. This is a different system. And we doubled it. So yesterday with Debbie, we got 3 to 5 inches of rain over about 18 hours. This time we got 3 to 5 inches of rain in about 90 minutes. That's a big difference, and that's why that flooding was quite a bit more severe, right? It really matters on how quickly that water can go away, and basically you're raining on an already wet sponge. So it's like when you're cleaning up the mess in the kitchen, if the sponge's already wet, it's not gonna clean up the water. It's that same idea here when it comes to flash flooding. If we widen out the view, you'll notice this is all part of like a new weather system. So this is a cold front. It's not gonna feel like fall when it comes through, but it is slightly different air. This air is still kind of tropical Debbie air. Over here, it's kind of more typical summer air for us that's trying to move in, and that contrast creates that area where storms can form. I'll be blunt with you. We did not expect this type of weather to form along this front. It was expected to be pretty dry, actually. But what ended up happening is we got a couple storms, and that front is not moving very quickly, and so we're seeing some slow movers overnight tonight. So there are already some popping up in Person County, Alamance, Caswell, Southern Guilford now, Randolph too, Davidson as well. We have not seen the same level of problems as the ones that developed in the city of Greensboro, so hopefully you won't have those, but Greensboro certainly did. We're getting always more updates from our partners at the National Weather Service too. We did get some word. We're not really sure quite about all of this, but there was word from Guilford Emergency Management that there might be some issues with the Friendly Lake Dam. That's up in the Country Lane part of Greensboro. Can't tell if it actually failed or not, or if it was just overtopping with water, but they were going to check it out. So it's that kind of a serious situation. And they were also reporting us on a lot of those flood rescues too. We can talk a little bit more about the actual weather we're going to see as we go through the rest of the weekend. These showers and storms should start to subside overnight tonight. Again, this is not well forecast from the get-go, so take this with a grain of salt, but it should be pushing off to the east, and we really are expecting sunshine for tomorrow afternoon. So hopefully things like outdoor activities, the Wyndham Championship is front of center in our area on Saturday. Hopefully that's fine. They absorbed a couple inches of new rain on the golf course tonight, but hopefully it settles down and they're able to play tomorrow. But bottom line, you should be able to worry not too much about the weather on Saturday. Same idea for your Sunday as we look at your future cast here, not finding too many issues. I'm just going to recap at the beginning here. Oh, actually, so as we continue to put the latest radar on here for you, we've had our news crews kind of out and about throughout the night, gathering some of this information, trying to see where the roads are bad, trying to see just what's going on. So right after our news at 11 o'clock ended, our Chad Silber was out driving about in Greensboro. Chad, I think we got you on the phone now. I don't know what you've seen, so tell me what you've been noticing across the Greensboro area, where you've been, and what's going on.
Yeah, Tim, I just want to make sure you can hear me first. Can you hear me correctly?
I can hear you, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, great. So, of course, we started getting all these phone calls from people, and so we reached out to local law enforcement, fire department, and that kind of stuff, and found some areas where we know that there was some sort of emergency. So I drove to one of them. It was actually it's on Big Tree Lane. So if you're familiar with this part of Greensboro, it's right by the Celebration Station. So when I got over there, there were fire trucks that had blocked off all of Big Tree Lane right by where Celebration Station, their parking lot kind of dumps off into it. And so when I got there, I talked to the chief over there, and he told me that when they arrived, there was 3 to 4 feet of floodwaters right there on the road, and 5 cars were stalled out in the water. They said that the water was so high that it was up to the windows and even higher than the base of the windows on these cars. They said that they quickly got out ropes and they got out life preservers. They threw the people who were in these vehicles life preservers and got them out of the water using the ropes to pull them to safety. It is a miracle. They are saying that nobody was hurt in this situation, which is unbelievable. But they still had 5 cars stalled there. They also were telling me that because this happened right at Celebration Station, the employees from that location had to stay there until the water receded. Of course, it did recede, but the chief I spoke with said he's worked in that area for a long time, and he has never seen that part of the city flooding. So this is seriously, I mean, you can't overstate the type of rain event that we just saw. And
Chad, this wouldn't happen without what happened yesterday. This is why that's happening. We've had storms like this before, but on top of what happened yesterday, we just can't handle it. Chad, we've got about a minute left here. Have you heard anything about folks that might have been hurt in any of these calls that have been around the area, or are we still hopefully not seeing anything like that?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about injuries yet. Obviously, this is still very new. I just came over to the Friendly Lake over here. I know we got some word from the National Weather Service about a partial dam. Something was wrong with the dam or something with the lake. Yeah, there are some vehicles over here, so I am attempting to figure out what's going on over here, but I'll keep you posted.
All right, Chad, stay safe out there. The rain is letting up a little bit. Hopefully those routers can continue to receive. We sure appreciate your reports on the roads, and just continue to advise people, don't be out if you don't have to. You heard from Chad, those people had to be rescued. We're thankful they're okay. We're hopeful you're okay too, and just staying safe for the rest of the night. We're happy to give you these updates, but again, it should improve as we go throughout the night.